Okay, we got another micro here on the channel. We got the Dust X58 bind and fly. This is the FlySky version. 58 millimeters, runs on 1S. It's like a brushless tiny whoop. And here it is. It's super tiny, super lightweight. This is a pretty thin carbon here. You can see that it fluxes quite a bit. Reminds me a lot of the actual tiny whips where those frames just flex like crazy. But these are using special 1S motors. I think they're... So these are using the BR0703 motors, and these are 20,000 kV. So you're going to be running 1S on this, and should be pretty good performance. I think these are using the KingKong 30mm propellers. And you got your little 16x16 stack here. You got your flight controller and your 1S 4-amp ESCs. Oh, and I think that the receiver here is built into the flight controller, and it's actually a FreeSky receiver, not a FlySky receiver, so I'm mistaken on that. Looks like a typical all-in-one camera. I think it's the VM275T. And get that to focus. There you go. So we're all familiar with this one, should know how that performs. I'm looking forward to flying this around the house. It should be fun. Look forward to that review in a few days. I picked up some more of these Eachine VTX 03s. I'm kind of liking these really micro-sized video transmitters. They're 200 milliwatts and power switchable, so I can go down to 25 milliwatts or even turn it off. And I like the fact that it's very lightweight, so I'm going to probably do a lot more builds with these in the future. Okay, so here's something that many of you guys probably wouldn't consider getting, but I thought that I would buy one and demonstrate this. Basically plug in the battery on this side with a JST connector, or you can use an adapter if you want to use an XT60, and this goes into your quad or whatever, and you got a little switch here on a sliding switch, so you can turn the power on and off with that. And so this could be something that you could use for, say, binding, for example, where you have to press and hold a bind button and you can give it power, where it would be more difficult to plug in the battery with one hand and hold the bind button down on the other hand. You could just use a switch with one hand. This makes it a lot easier. So I thought I'd pick one of these up so that you guys could maybe try it out. If you have trouble doing that kind of something like that, where you need to use two hands and plugging the battery is going to be a little more difficult. And I got another 20 by 20 one of these little micro 4-in-1 ESCs. But this is a 12-amp version, so as these motors get bigger and bigger, I'm getting up these 1105 and 1106 motors. They're drawing more amps, so I'm going to start moving up to some bigger ESCs. So you can see more 12 and 20 amp ESCs on my channel for these micro builds. Okay, got some more stuff here from GearBest. This is the Aurora RC Omnibus F3 micro flight controller with OSD. I think this is pretty similar to the one that comes from Banggood, the Eachine version. Looks pretty much the same. I'll have to take a look at the other one and do a comparison video later. But this is what it looks like. Okay, we got the flycolor Tower S here, and these are some 30 amp BL ESCs 4-in-1 plus F3 flight controller with an OSD. You can see it's a 2 to 4S. It's one of these pre-built stacks, and this is not the micro size, I believe it. This is a full size. This is for like the full size builds, like a 5-inch, and I like the box. It's pretty cool. This is what it looks like. You can see it's already pre-assembled, which is kind of nice. And there's no wires and connectors here. It's just using a connector that's directly soldered on, so you can still take this apart, but the connectors are soldered directly onto the board. Makes it for a nice clean build. That's what the 30 amp ESC. It looks like you got a current sensor here as well, so it should be pretty interesting to put into one of these builds. I'll have I'm not sure when to put it in, but I'll have a review on this later. And then you got some solder pads here on the side. They don't stick out. And we got some the new EMAX RS2306 motors here. These are the 2400 kV versions here. So these are pretty powerful, and so we'll probably have to combine it with these 30 amp ESCs here in the flycolor for that build. I think I'll probably put this on the new XBX V2 frame that I got recently. So look forward to a build for that later. So it looks like we had a waterproof case here for the Runcam 3. And it comes with your standard GoPro mount and GoPro mounting accessories. Let's take a look at what it looks like in here. Got your button here for your power over here on the top. And looks like this button here is for the back button here for the modes and Wi-Fi. So this is what it looks like with the Runcam 3 inside. And supposedly this goes down to about 30 meters in depth. So that's pretty cool. I think this sells for about $7 to $10, something like that. And we got another, looks like a standard mount here. A couple of extra mounting plates for this one. Also GoPro style, and you got your GoPro style mount here as well. This looks very similar to the one that comes with the Hero Session 5 that actually comes with it. I think this is about $6 or $7, but obviously this one should definitely fit the Runcam 3. Let's go ahead and pop this in here. And it should just cinch right down. Let's see, is this the correct orientation? Yep. Is it this way or is it the other way? Yep. I think, yeah, this is the, yeah, I think this is the correct way. Like this, it sticks out in the front a little bit, and it's flush in the back. But this definitely fits perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely, I'll definitely be able to use this now with my, I have a little head cam thing that I can stick this on, so I can do videos using the head cam. So I'll do some of those. I was only able to do those previously with the GoPro Hero Session 5. I wasn't able to do that with the Runcam 3, so I'll be able to do that in the future. And we got a little, it's like a remote cable is what they're calling this, and it basically plugs into USB on this side here. And you have some cables here that go to, say, a receiver. So if you want to, say, take photos and stop and start video using your transmitter, using a PWM signal, you can then do that using switches on your transmitter through this mechanism. Let me know if there's a lot of interest in setting that up. It's not too terribly difficult. You'll need probably a receiver with maybe 10 channels, and then you'd put these additional controls on the different auxiliary channels. I don't think you'd probably use this too much on a mini quad, probably more on an airplane or some sort of fixed wing aircraft, because I don't believe you can have a lot of extra channels on a mini quad without doing a lot of extra work. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. Here we got the new Runcam Micro Swift, so it's even smaller than the Mini Swift, 5 to 36 volts, 2.1 millimeter lens, NTSC, and this is something that I've been looking forward to getting because as you know, I do a lot of micro builds and weight is everything. And yeah, this thing is super tiny. Let's get that lens cap off here. This is a CCD camera, not CMOS, and I think this lens, even though it's a 2.1 millimeter lens, is not the standard size as it comes on the other Swifts and even the Mini Swift. You've got a board here in the back that's kind of exposed, and I'm not sure what size it is. I'll get some measurements here in a second, but there's no onboard voltage like on the Swift 2. It's just like the Mini Swift and the original Swift. You just get the power and video, and you get your little pigtail here, or the connector for your OSD controls, so you can make your setting changes. Just for comparison purposes here, this is the 1.2 gram 1000 TV line micro camera that I haven't actually reviewed this yet, but this is what it looks like. But this one here on the right is CMOS only. Obviously the Swift Micro is CCD. Also, this is 600 TV lines versus 1000 TV lines on something like this. But just to give you an idea what the size and size difference looks like here, 1.2 grams obviously much smaller, but the difference is that the one on the right is CMOS and the one on the left is CCD. And here's a look at it next to the Swift Mini. So you can see it's quite a bit smaller than the Swift Mini. You can see the lens sizes are also quite a bit different. You see here that the Swift Mini uses a different size lens. This is standard size lens versus on the micro it's a little bit smaller. And yeah, definitely I think the front to back difference in size is quite a bit more. In terms of the profile, you can see that the board sizes are probably pretty similar if you take away this whole case. So it looks like they might be using the same type of electronics from the Swift Mini in the micro in terms of the board, and maybe just using a different type of lens housing here. So let's see what the image quality is like. Maybe they're using a small lens here to shrink it down. That might be the biggest difference. I think the sensor is the same, but I'll when I do the review of this, I'll actually go over that in more detail later. Okay, so we got another one of these flight controller ESC micro combos. This is from HGLRC, and it's an F3 flight controller. I think it's got the 6000 MPU 6000 gyro, 25 amp ESCs. I think they burst up to 30 amps, and they're running BLHeli-S, D-Shot 600 capable. The thing that's different about this one versus a couple of the other ones that you've seen is instead of having a connector on the flight controller and on the ESC, there's a little pin connector there in the middle that connects the two boards, and so it makes it for a cleaner build. Take these apart, and that's what that looks like there. And there's no other like wires or anything that comes with it. You have to get your own little connector here if you want to put a JST or an XT30 connector on here. It just comes with these standoffs, and I think these are M2 size standoffs. Okay, so here's a quick look at the Eachine DTX03, and this looks a lot like the DVR03, but this does not have a camera. It's just the video transmitter and the video recorder. It's got a little micro SD card slot here, the same buttons, little microphone, and your little band and channel indicator, but no camera here in the front. Just has a connection here for your power and another connection here for your camera. So you plug the camera into this, or you have to either cut the cables off and create your own connections, solder-on connections directly to your camera for this. So might be better if you want to use like a CCD camera or something like that instead of like a little micro camera. If you have the space in a larger craft and want to do your video recording on there. I'll do a review obviously on this and see what kind of latency we had. I know that the DVR03 had some latency issues, so I have a feeling that this one will probably have the same issues, but we'll see when I actually review it. Just got a couple more of these little Omnibus F3 flight controllers. This is turning out to be one of my favorite flight controllers. It's got the F3 chip, the MPU 6000 chip, and onboard OSD. Actually is the Betaflight OSD, so I think I've reviewed this already, just getting some more of these for future builds. Okay, here's a quick look at the ATX03 from Eachine. It's very similar to the VTX03. This is power switchable, I think 0, 25, 200 milliwatts. It's got a little connection for your antenna. And this one has the same power connection here, but this one now, instead of having 3 connections for power and video, you have a 4th one for audio, and that's why it's called the ATX03. The A stands for audio, so this will be good for those cameras that have audio output, and you can record your audio to your Fat Shark goggles or your DVR recorder. Okay, so here we got the KingKong Tiny 6 and Tiny 7. These are Tiny Whip style micros. They're brushed, and I think these the Tiny 6 has 6mm motors and the Tiny 7 has 7mm motors. You can see that they're this one's slightly bigger. I think these have 30mm props and these have the 40mm props, but I think they sent me the advanced versions for both of these. So you can see here for the Tiny 6 it comes with 5 batteries, and this definitely looks a lot like the Inductrix FPV here. It's got a little plastic canopy. Yeah, it looks really similar. I'm looking forward to reviewing this. Let's take a look at the 7. Here's what they look like next to each other. The 7 is obviously a little bit bigger, bigger motors and more props, so it's going to be a little faster. So stay tuned for full reviews on these. Okay, looks like we got another toy drone here. It's Eachine E011 block drone, and I think that this is just like the previous E011. I think they've maybe got some better motors on here, but they got this Lego theme going on here where you put these little action figures on top. So here's what it looks like. I'm not really sure if this is a truly Lego license. It probably isn't, but I think it's the same size for the little pieces here. Got your battery on the bottom. Yeah, this looks almost exactly like the original E011, and frame is pretty flexible. You get your little Lego action figure here, so put on top. Probably we'll just fly around line of sight and then maybe do some FPV, maybe solder on a little micro camera on top of this and see how this flies.